Great Valley? It's me, Ryan. We're back for another edition of the Great Valley Sports Show. Spring break may be over, but we got 4 pieces of important sports news to go over. First with the NCAA tournaments, and then with some Phillies news, Sixers news, and finishing out with the Flyers. So let's start this week out by going over to the NCAA tournaments, and first with the women's bracket, congratulations to Stanford for winning that. They had to win some really tough and close games late, both in the Final Four against South Carolina and in the championship against Arizona. But as for this year's tournament, sadly there were no perfect brackets in either the women's or the men's. I mean, the odds are definitely not in anyone's favor. They're like in the billions or trillions, or I don't really know. However, one thing I do know is who won the men's basketball tournament this year. Congratulations to Baylor for winning. They were able to knock off the previously undefeated Gonzaga team that was looking so dominant throughout the tournament until they almost lost in the Final Four to UCLA. As for the championship game, Baylor's terrific offensive defense made them lead the entire way through and finished with an 86-70 victory. Anyways, now we gotta move on over to the Phillies, and their season has gotten off to a hot start. They were able to sweep the Braves in the home opener thanks to some great Phillies pitching that only allowed the Braves to score 3 runs in 3 games. As for the offensive side of the ball in those 3 games, the Phillies numbers weren't too crazy, but they were definitely good enough to win all 3 games. Key players like Alec Boehm were able to come up in clutch situations in order to give the Phillies the lead, and then obviously the great pitching helped them keep those leads late in the game. As for Monday night's game, the Phillies were going up against a former Cy Young winner for the Mets, Jacob deGrom, and they definitely struggled. But once they were able to get to the Mets bullpen, the Phillies were able to put up 5 runs in the 8th inning and come away with a 5-3 win. As for Tuesday night's game, here's the results. So now time to look at the Phillies' upcoming schedule for the week. All of their games are going to be late afternoon to evening time, with the Phillies playing both against the Mets as well as the Braves. As for today's game, which is Wednesday, it is going to be the earliest one out of this week, being 4:05 at home against the Mets. And now time to move swiftly on over to the Sixers. So looking at what we missed with the Sixers, they were able to have a winning record on the road, finishing 4-2, which is great because a few years ago they couldn't win like any games on the road. So to see them to win was great. They come home and beat plays, that's great, they win, then Embiid does not play the next game against the Grizzlies, and it was not so great. So the final game we need to catch up on is the one that happened last night against the Celtics. Here it is. Hopefully it ended up being great. So just like the Phillies, we're going to be looking at the Sixers' upcoming games this week, and they're continuing their road trip as they play Friday against the Pelicans, and then they play Saturday against the Thunder, and then finishing out the week Monday against the Mavericks. And now the final thing to go over this week is the Flyers. So why do I sound so sad saying that? Well, that's just because the month of March for the Flyers has been really bad. We've had goaltender questions, defensive questions, offensive questions, and leadership questions. Why? Because, well, the Flyers have been struggling in the standings. However, not all is bad for the Flyers because I am saying this correctly. They got a win against the Bruins this year, which has been like unheard of thanks to this overtime goal.
And the big defenseman goes around Bergeron and scores!
So finally, let's look at some of the upcoming games for the Flyers. They will be having one tomorrow as they face the Islanders, and then Saturday as they face the Bruins, Sunday as they face the Sabres, and then finishing out the week Tuesday against the Capitals. And that's all we have time for on this edition of the Great Valley Sports Show. Thank you so much for watching this episode. If you want to watch the next one, it'll be out next Wednesday, and we'll have more Phillies, Sixers, and Flyers coverage. But until next time, once again, thanks so much for watching, and goodbye.